Good morning, everyone. It is April 9th, 2018. 2018. I recall we were supposed to be flying around in, floating cars, and we're supposed to have all kinds of cool technology by now, but so much for that, right? So much for the future. But, as you have heard, my rhetoric has changed a little bit lately. More militant, if you will. More, let's kick their asses. 4 years ago, hundreds of protesters proved that armed Americans can take on the U.S. government and win. And we can win. We can. You'll have these so-called experts say, oh, you would never win because they got this and they got that. They got robots. They got... Man, those are all just toys. And I haven't read this article yet, but I know who they're going to be talking about. They're going to be talking about the Bundy standoff. At least I think so. I could be wrong. There are many arguments that are used by gun control advocates. One such argument is that individuals do not need high-powered firearms because they will not stand a chance in a war against the federal government. And that's not true. We would win a war against the federal government. The federal government would shit its fucking pants if we decided to say, you know what? Fuck you. We're done. We're done with your taxes. We're done with your prisons. We're done with your slavery. We're done with all of it. They would shit their fucking pants. All of them. They would be afraid. They'd run to their bunkers, cowering like the pussies they are. And probably die down there. They go on to say that 4 years ago, a group of armed men and women did come together to form a militia, as referenced in the Second Amendment, and they successfully stood up to the government agencies that were infringing upon their rights. And of course, they're talking about the BLM. Haven't heard much from them, a whole lot from them since, had we? You know, they hadn't been stealing anyone else's land that I know of, but I could be wrong. They may be still doing that. They may not have learned their lesson, but the overall point is, when the people decide they've had enough bullshit, and we get together and go up against the machine, we can win. See, I think this is part of why people have continued to take the abuse, because they're afraid they would lose. But there's rules to war. You wouldn't spend the rest of your life in prison. It would be a war. Okay? But we win, without a doubt. Yes, they have new technology that would be a little scary. But you have to remember something. All this technology is based on electricity. It's based on sensors. You screw up the electricity, you screw up the sensors, you screw up the technology. There's always a way to win. Do not be fooled by the cowards. Again, I volunteer myself any day, any time. So on April 5th of 2014, there was an ongoing land dispute between cattle rancher Cliven Bundy and the United States Bureau of Land Management. Now, I do not agree with the Bundys on so many levels, but they had their rights were infringed, and hundreds, if not thousands, of Americans went there to that ranch and stood their ground against the federal government and won. I mean, true, they all ended up in jail, but it's also true that they all are not in jail anymore. At least most of them have been freed. There's a couple that were stupid enough to plead guilty because they don't have the money to get out of jail, which is, I was stupid enough to do the same thing. But jail, or life in jail, especially county jail, is hell. I'd much rather go to a prison than a county jail. But they ultimately won. They forced the DLM back, and the rest is history, right? And this is a great example right here. If we continued to take action like that every day, it wouldn't be long that we remove the criminals, the true criminals, and put them in the prisons they love seeing us in so much. I mean, they have a lot of people, no doubt about it, but you try spreading them people out through, say, 20 states. They're gonna have a hard time keeping up with the insurgency. And the more of them that got killed, the less likely it would be that anyone would be willing to join that side anymore. You see, we do have power, but we don't exercise it. And this is exactly what all this gun grabbing is about. They don't want us to have the ability to do that. I mean, I'm shocked that they didn't come after the guns right after that. I really am. Because that proved to not only them, the government itself, but the people who were afraid to stand against the government, that we can stand against them and win. It proved it. We all know the story about why and how the BLM came to the Bundy Ranch. A dispute began in 1993 when Bundy refused to pay for a cattle grazing permit to use the land near his ranch, and Clark County, Nevada, after the BLM claimed that he must reduce the size of his herd to 150, and that the size of the land where his cattle were allowed to graze would be severely restricted. Bundy argued that the federal government does not have the authority to own large amounts of land, which launched a legal battle that continued for the next 2 decades. And the federal government does not have the authority to own all the land that it owns. It does not belong to them. It belongs to us. But that's where it started. And it took quite a long time to get to the point where there was an armed standoff. I say, let's cut that time down drastically. Let's cut it down and just do it. Now, I know from the jobs I've recently had that I'm still in pretty good shape. Yeah, my body is sore after a day of lifting a shitload of stuff, heavy stuff, but I still was able to do it. I was still able to lift it. And I have pretty good, what is that called? I had the word right there in my mind, and then it went, longevity. I have pretty good stamina. If I have to walk and run for miles, I could do it still. Wouldn't be happy about it, but I could do it. And so can you. I thought I'd share this with you because I have been putting out pretty militant shit lately. And the reason I've been putting militant shit out is because I recognize that Occupy Wall Street, they begged for their rights. All of them, all these protest groups, they go out and they beg their masters for more rights, for more stuff. They beg them like little, what is that, that movie with little kids going around stealing for some old bastard. Gosh, that one escapes me. It's right there too, but I won't even I won't even try to remember it. But the government came and seized the cattle from these people and charged them outrageous fees and did all kinds of shit, pointed guns at the Bundys, his wife, and so on. But at the end of the day, the people won. I'm not going to lie to you. If a group of 5 cops come here, armed, and I'm by myself, unarmed, I'm afraid. I'm afraid that I'm going to get killed by them. Just day before yesterday, there's a problem with the neighbors. I didn't have a problem with them, but there's a young lady being paid to clean out the property so that it would be ready for the next tenant. Well, some other woman who claimed she had ownership of some of the property in the place came and started raising hell. The girl came over here, the one cleaning, and asked me to call the police. Of course, I told her no, I could not do that, but I will help you. And I would have. I would have fought with her. Because that woman had no right, unless given permission by the tenant, to go in there and get whatever it was she wanted. The girl cleaning was specifically told, do not let anybody in. She was doing what she was supposed to do. And I would have jumped in on her side in a minute. But through dialogue, I calmed everything down, and no cops came and no one got killed. I'm pretty good at conflict resolution. So, but these people, they're coming after more than just our ARs. They want our AK-47s. They want our SKSs. They want our Glocks. They want our Rugers. They want all of it. The question is, are you going to allow this to happen? Are you going to behave like the men and women who stood against the federal government there at the Bundy ranch, or are you going to go and cower? I hope for the sake of your soul that you stand your ground. Because if you don't, you're going to regret it to your death and beyond. I know this to be a fact because, as I've told you before, there was a time in my life where I was afraid to get hurt. And I walked away from a lot of fights that I probably should not have. I should have taken the beating, because it really did damage me in many ways to walk away. So anybody that tells you that walking away from a fight is a good solution, it's not. It's not a good solution. I mean, really, depending on what it's about. But once it becomes personal against you, there's no walking away, or you'll regret it until you redeem yourself, which I have. So anyway, these people have no idea the fire that they're playing with. When I say these people, I mean the politicians and their useful idiot gun-grabbing morons. They have no idea what they're asking for. I mean, just try it. Just try to roll the UN out onto the streets. Just try it. We'll see what happens. I and many others will engage in insurgency. We will. And we will win. We will outsmart them. I hope everyone has a great day. I just wanted to show you this because it's important for you to understand that we can win a civil war against the government. It does not take tanks. It does not take rocket launchers, although we'd probably end up with at least that kind of stuff, rocket launchers, RPGs. Don't think for a minute foreign countries wouldn't be giving us airdrops every chance they got, because they would. They're just as sick of these fucking people as I am. Till next time, kill the state before the state kills you.